Hello, Will here, and today we are in Skyrim, and we are going to be checking out free mods. So we got kind of like three kind of like slightly smaller ones. Well, I'll say one of them smaller. It's small, but there's a lot to it. We got another very small one, which is one of mine, which is very small. And we also have another one which is a work in progress, which I am currently working on. This has like a bit of a work in progress on the side from doing something else. It's close to being done. I just got to do a few bits and pieces of it and then bosh and it's done. But we'll get to those later. So the first one we are going to look at is by Oral Core J, and it is a Dark Souls armour. If I can remember correctly, that is the name. I will put it at the top of the screen if I am wrong, and if I am right, there will be nothing. But right, so where do you go to find the Dark Souls armour? Well, all you gotta do, with a lot of Oral's CJ stuff, not all of his stuff, but with a lot of his stuff, he's gotta come to Riverwood, come to the Sleeping Giant Inn, and what you are looking for is this bonfire, and then you just basically just search the bonfire. Now, so as you can see, it's a very long list, a stupidly long list, incredibly long list. We're still going. Oh, for dear love of God, please end. My God, finally we're at the end. So yeah, there is a lot of stuff to this. There's a lot of armors and a lot of weapons. So obviously there is no way am I going to be covering all in this video. No way. But now it does state in the description as well, which I'll bring up in the video in this video as well. Though I won't give you as much detail because I can't quite remember. But there obviously are going to be some kind of sort of like little small like kind of little bug issues and then kind of like glitchy bits to this, and it's stuff to do with how some of the weapons work and how with some of the armors with the gauntlets there's like a gap in the with like when you put the gauntlets on, there's some kind of gap, I think at the basically where your wrist would be or something like that. Oral's put it in the description what all these little glitchy bugs are and stuff like this, and how with some of them how you can get out of them if you find yourself glitched out or something like that, you know, this, that and the other. So if you want to find out more about that, you can obviously read the description. So yeah, so expect there to be some things that are a little bit off because obviously he's reworked some things to basically to get them to work, but they won't off different mechanics, but trying to alter the mechanics that already exist, but changing mechanics of how something works, and then it caused some kind of little bit of a glitchy bug to it. So yeah, and since it was on PS4, obviously there's nothing that can be done about that directly. Though it's like with the weapons, apparently, like sometimes with certain things, if you equip them in a certain way, or this, that, and the other, your character can lock in place. And all you gotta do is to just reset that. Is basically to sort of just sit down in a chair or interact something that makes your character sheath the weapon, kind of thing. But again, it will say in the description. So if you want to find out more details about that, remember to read the description. But right, so I'm at the bottom of the list here, so we've got sort of like basically a whole load of bloody stuff here. It's ridiculous. So you know, you got like iron, obsidian chainmail, iron chainmail, gold chainmail, glass chainmail, ebony chainmail, copper chainmail, bronze chainmail, boulder armor. I mean, now some of this stuff might go over my head because I haven't really played Dark Souls. So I mean, like in ways of like glass boulder armor. I mean, obviously, yes, this is supposed to be the glass material, but what is boulder armor? I have no idea. Obviously, if you're a fan of Dark Souls, you'll probably know what this is all about. Me, I've never really played Dark Souls, so I don't have a bloody clue. But you know, but you're gonna have some other stuff like, you know, it's like Morning Star. Well, obviously that's just a mace, but obviously, you know, if you look at it like that, if you look at it from that angle, it looks a bit like a Morning Star. But then when you do that, it's just a mace. But you know, it's got a different texture. It's all nice and shiny, nice and shiny. But you will realise that a lot with a lot of the stuff, that it's all very, very shiny. Basically, it's very, very shiny. So if you like very shiny, reflective armor that looks like it's been polished and polished and polished again, then you know, yeah, you will probably like this stuff. So but yeah, you know, so you got spear arrows, copper bolts. You know, you got a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things to this. Now, one thing I am curious about now, he does have a showcase on Oral CJ. He does have a YouTube channel. All you gotta do is just type Oral CJ. I keep calling him Oral CJ because that's what we called him in Dark Moon. Oral Cool J. If you just type in Oral Cool J in YouTube, and you should be able to find his channel, where he actually does showcase, like, he gives you like little sneak peeks and little showcases of the mods that he does as well. So you know, so if you know, if you want to check it out and just see if he goes into a bit more detail of what is in it than what I would probably do here, remember to go check out his channel. I might even leave a link in the description to his channel anyway, so you can go check out what other kind of mods he's done as well, because he's done a fair few. But alright, so we're gonna have this. We're just gonna have a look at a couple of the armors and a couple of the weapons. So one thing I am actually interested in looking at is, now unfortunately I'm not going to keep it because unfortunately my character doesn't wear light armor, but I am actually interested in, I do quite like the copper chainmail. Right, so just to cover one thing, that as you might come across some weapons that say, like for example like this, copper longsword thrust type. So this is probably like one of those kind of weapons where you might have to. It does mention about thrust weapons in the description. That they're sort of like their hit detection is a little off because it's using sort of like the staff animation or something along those lines. So you might have to sort of like adjust where you're attacking to actually get it to hit. But again, there's not a lot that can be done about that because it's a changed mechanics from the weapon's original mechanic to a different mechanic. So things are going to change, which cannot be altered when it comes to PS4 mods. We'll have a look at another armor. What else we got? Let's have a look at a heavy armor. Let's find a heavy armor. What we got? What heavy stuff we got? Alright, and I think we're going to have a look at this obsidian, because the helmet, how the blazing hell does it have that kind of funky pattern on there? I have no idea. Now obviously it's going to be something to do with one of the textures, but I don't know which texture that actually is. I have no idea. So, is it the same from the ebony? Well, actually, it's the entire helmet. It's all the helmet. Though it does seem to be that they're all look the same. So that could be a bug. It could be just how it works. I'm not 100% sure. It could be reflectivity, because that that doesn't look like it's as reflective in the way to the light. I might be wrong on that. I don't know. But we'll grab the Ebony Knight. So we'll grab that. But I will check that helmet out though, because it looks pretty funky. Something I have realised that you do come across some that look like this. Now I don't know if there's anything different about them, or if they're absolutely fine. It's just the way that it looks like in the model. I'm not 100% sure. But we'll just grab the one that looks like the normal kind of infantry model of it. So that's the Curious. Swing type weapon is right hand, blocking weapon is left hand. Okay. That seems a bit confusing. we'll take one of them. Actually, you know what? Just for the safety of it all, we'll just take 2. But alright, so let's go and go outside into this nice sunshine, hopefully. Yes. And we'll have a look at them. Alright, and here we are with the Copper Knights. And I will have to say, I actually quite like how this looks. Looks pretty cool, actually. Quite like it. You know, it's yeah, obviously it's very metallic, but then obviously copper is a metal. And you know, and it looks like it's been very polished. Now, obviously, I know this isn't going to be like everybody's cup of tea, because you know some people do prefer sort of like a slightly more duller texture. Now, whether there is like duller texture versions of this in the bonfire, I'm not 100% sure, because a lot of it did look very like it was very buffed out, very polished. So I don't know if that's something that Oral Cool J might think about doing, is ones that don't seem so like polished as such, you know, to a degree. You know, they're slightly a bit more, you know, less shiny, so to speak. But you know, but personally myself, I actually quite like how this one looks. But right, so that's the copper one. So let's have a look at the Ebony Knight one. Alright, here we are with the Ebony Knight. So as you can see, it's definitely, obviously again, it is still very polished. You know, it is still like a very polished metal. But it's that helmet texture on the top that sort of like catches me off guard with it a little bit. I don't know if those swirling patterns are part of the like normal steel helmet, the steel plate helmet. I'm not totally sure if those swirls are normal part of that helmet's texture, or if this is part of whatever texture he's used to create the helmet. I'm not totally sure, because in the steel plate helmet I've never really noticed it before, but then I've never really spent time looking at the steel plate helmet, so it could be already on it. I have no idea. But again, I quite like it. I mean, I prefer the copper one. But you know, but I can still get a copper version of this. So, bada bing, bada boom, everybody wins. You know, kind of thing. Alright, so let's have a look at these weapons then. Alright, so we've got one in the glass Claymore. And obviously there it does look like there is a little bit of clipping in the armour, but I don't know if that's because it does look like the sword is much closer to the character than it normally is. So I don't know if it's just the way that it's been set up, made it a bit closer, or if it's the armour for some reason it's been broadened out or something like that, or it's just generally just what happened in the game. I have no idea, to be honest. Right, so anyway, take it out. Okay, so you're holding it with one hand here. So you are literally holding a Claymore one hand. So yeah, there is going to be like a little bit of, in the third person on this, you will notice that, you know, there's a little bit of clipping, but that's to be expected. So, I just want to have a look, sorry. So we're going to put that there. Because it does say about blocking with the left. Okay, so that's kind of... So overlayers the two. Okay, that's just weird. So now I don't know if you're supposed to be able to attack with both of them. I don't think you can, because it didn't say in the description. So you're blocking with both claymores with the block button. But when you swing, see, in the third person, when you swing, you literally swing both swords. But it seems to be when you're in this view, you can sort of see one sort of kind of stays where it is. But again, due to how the mechanics of whether all of it has to have been altered around a little bit, there are going to be some things that unfortunately Oral can't fix or can't do anything about. So, but if you can look past that kind of thing, then yeah, you know, why not go, you know, be a madman and literally run around with a Claymore in one hand. which normally is, a Claymore is a big ass, huge, heavy sword. Alright, so the last weapon we're going to look at is the gold longsword thrust type. So you're not, as you can see, I've got it equipped, but as you can see it's not on your person. Normally the staff, I think, is normally on your back, I think, normally. You might have to correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But as you can see, when you get out, yeah, it's there, you know, it's in your hand. And thrust. And thrust. So, but as you can see, it is doing the staff animation. Okay, apparently this house can bleed. Bleed house. Bleed. Okay, so that's probably something that he's added to it. You know, the ability for it to give it some kind of aspect that it looks like it's actually doing damage by adding in like the blood texture and stuff like that. But yeah, it does say in the description that the thrust weapons may have a slight bit of like offness to their hit detection. So I think what it is just basically you might just have to be a bit closer to the target than you think you need to be. Nobody get in my way. Oh, see, you know, you could be. So it's probably got very similar reach to a two-handed weapon, maybe. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Bloop. So we got this. So yeah, it looks like its reach is about. It's very similar to a two-handed weapon. Very, very similar. But right. So before we move on to the next one, I got a question for Khajiit if he sees this. I got a question for you. How the hell do you do the retexturing? Because it's something that I know you've mentioned to me before, I think, on the Shapeless Media Discord. But I couldn't quite make sense of it. I don't know if it's just because I'm stupid, I can't understand it, or if it's because you're going to give a very basic synopsis of how to do it. But of course, as always, there will be a link in the description below to this mod if you want to try it out for yourself. There'll also be a link to Oral's YouTube channel as well, so you can also see what other mods that they've done, because he normally tends to put like little videos on his channel just showcasing off mods that he's done. So there'll be two links for that for Oral Khajiit here in the description below. But right, now that we're done here, we're going to move on to mod number 2, which for that we need to go to Riften and we need to go to the orphanage. Alright, and here we are with mod number 2, created by yours truly. And yeah, so we need to come to Riften and we need to go to the orphanage. Now, most of us are obviously going to know where the orphanage is. Now, we've all probably been to Riften hundreds and hundreds of times. But just in case if you don't know where it is, you literally just go to basically Mistbale Keep, which is basically where the Jarl lives, and look to your right, and you're looking for that little bit on there. I mean, it's should be easy enough to find. There you go, boom, there's a massive ass sign. So, right, so mod number 2 is Caro and Skara Khajiit Cubs or something like that. I mean, I should be able to remember. I was the one who bloody named it. But what it does, it adds in 2 adoptable Khajiit children, obviously called Caro and Skara. And funny enough, here is one of them. Here is Caro, and as you can see, he is tiny. He is a child. And here is Skara, who has had a massive growth spurt. Now, I do acknowledge this in the mod's description, but I'll obviously say it here as well. is that there is one small little bug with this, which there isn't really anything I can do about it, because of how the game works and the game's mechanics, this, that, and the other. But that is and how scaling works. But there will be times where they will interact with like certain furniture, whether it be like a bench like this, or a chair, or like a cooking spit, or something like that. Into which then they will grow in size to the size of the normal adult size in the game. But once they stop interacting with it, or sitting on it, or sleeping on it possibly, they will then shrink back down to child size. But as you can see, it's not every bench. So you see, Karo here is child size, though he is sitting on the bench. Whereas Skara is no longer big. No, he is big. He is still big. He is not small. Okay, so this could be load order as well. That is another thing that could cause them to not always be child size, is load order. So I just need to sort of like possibly just move mine in the load order somewhere. Where to put it in the load order?
Respawn complete.
Where'd he go? I have no idea. He just seemed to have just poofed away on me. But as you can see, he does sound like a child. So again, load order is one thing that... So if you're having this problem with them being not sort of like adult size rather than child size, just move your mod around in the load order and then that should alter their size. But your best bet, so if it does count doing that, you might need to do a uninstall and reinstall to allow the game to re-put them in and put them into the correct size. So there are some like little kind of finicky things with this one, but that's all stuff that there's not really, unfortunately, a lot I could do about that. And it's just because of the game's coding and this, that, and all that wonderful jazz. But for now, we'll just pretend that they are child size. You know, so we'll just pretend that that they are child size. So let's see, does he shrink down? And see, there you go, and he shrunk down to child size. But as you can see, when you do talk to them, they'll sigh, and it's like, I could adopt you if you want. Now they don't obviously give you a lot of major story or all that. They might do some like radiant talking to you, like if you go up near them, they might say something, or this, that, and the other, la la la. So if you want to adopt them, your best bet is to already own one of the vanilla homes in the game. Any of the vanilla homes found in any of the major cities where you can buy a home. Or, so with that, obviously that would be Solitude, Markarth, Whiterun, Riften, and Windhelm. Or any of the homes that you get in the Hearthfire DLC. As long as you got those, you can adopt one of them and send them to that particular home. But what happens if you're using a modded home? Well, if you're using a modded home, then you send them off to one of the vanilla game homes in any of the cities I've just mentioned, or any of the Hearthfire DLC manors that you can get. Then you use the mod Relocate NPC, and then you grab one of the fairies from House Fairies from the Lost Fairy Cave and move that fairy into your modded home. Into which then, when you grab that fairy, either the child will then spawn at the cave where the fairy is because of how that mod works, or you could then send them off to that house fairy and then give it maybe like a 1 or 2 in-game days, and then they should appear in the modded home. But if you've got Relocate NPC, you most likely already know kind of how it works, and if you don't worry, it's a pretty simple one to use. But yeah, once again, just to explain, if you have any of them being big like this, then uninstall, basically uninstall the mod, save your game, this and the other, so then your game files don't no longer have the mod in, reinstall it, move its position, change the position you had it in the load order. I know, maybe put it a little bit higher or maybe a little bit lower. It's probably going to be a bit finicky, and then come back in, and then just do it until basically that they are both small. And then once that's done, there you go, they are now children. And of course, certain pieces of furniture will alter their size, but once they stop interacting with that furniture, they will go back to being child size. If you want to adopt one, you will need to have at least any of the vanilla game homes actually in your possession, so you can send them there, and then use the relocate NPC mod to send them to your modded home. But that's it for this one. It's it's just a very small one, very simple one. Nothing too crazy. Bada bing, bada boom, bang bosh. But I would also like to thank Oral Cool J actually on this as well, because originally I didn't have them have the actual adoption line in the ways of like when you said that I could adopt you if you want. It wasn't originally working. Oral explained how to get it working, though it was actually pretty simple, and it was like, oh, is that it? Is that all I need to do? Bloody hell, I feel bloody stupid. But just thanks for Oral just to let me know basically that I need to set it up that way rather than having it, because what I did is that I had the wrong adoption faction in. I had a different adoption faction added to them, where I was supposed to have a different adoption faction. But it's been fixed, so now you can adopt them.
Bye.
But that's going to be it for Garo and Skara. So as you can see, Garo, massive growth spurt. Skara, massive growth spurt. My god, kids grow quickly these days. But right, so that's going to be it for this one. Now, there will be a link in the description to this mod if you want to, have a look at it yourself. Or if you feel like, hey, I'm gonna adopt a child. I want to adopt a Khajiit child. Then, bush, there you go. There's a couple of Khajiit children here for you. Though some of them might be a little bit bigger and maybe have gigantism. But right, now on to the final mod, which is another one of mine mods, but it's a work in progress mod at the moment. But for that, we need to go to Solstheim. Alright, and here we are with the final mod of this video, and this is the work in progress mod, which isn't even in the work in progress tab because literally nobody else can get it, so it's still very early, quite early days for this one. But this mod is going to be simply called Eruption, Wall Eruption. Now, this mod itself was I suppose it is kind of like a bit like a commission, because one of my subscribers, Dragonblade Kalal, didn't really like Solstheim all that much because of all the ash. It's very ashy, very grey, dull, not great. So the idea is to basically start bringing in some of the greenery and stuff like that back to Solstheim. Because let's face it, the eruption of Red Mountain, even though it's still kind of spewing out stuff in the distance, even though you can't see the mountain, can't really see the mountain, you can see it's spewing out like ash of clouds and cloud ashes and stuff like that, blah, 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 blah. But in the ways of game lore, that was like nearly 200 years ago. So by now they would have at least cleared up some of the ash, surely. Now, I'm probably, for the purposes of like, simplicity for myself, and due to the fact that there is still some stuff coming out of Red Mountain, there's going to be still like a little bit of ash. It's not going to be completely removed, but but it's to give indication that it's still, it was covered in ash, and but the fact that there was still an eruption, but a lot of the ashes, it's been cleared up, it's been moved, it's been blown away by the winds, this, that, and the other, and that kind of thing. So, but it's just to sort of give that impression. But as you can see, it is more green. So you've got green grass. Now, obviously, there's not grass growing in all places. There's some places where the grass isn't actually growing still. But but it is a bit greener. So yes, it's not going to look like an island paradise. Good luck with that. Yeah, it's still not going to look like an island paradise, but you get. All right, come. Screw it, let them carry on with that. But but you get the impression that the eruption happened quite a while ago, and over time, some of the ash has been able to get cleared up. You still got some stuff going on, like you got these little fuckers. Piss off. They're still gonna come out of that. It's not changing anything like that. All that is literally being changed is literally some of the land textures and stuff like this and stuff like that. And the trees. Most of the trees are not really going to be covered in ash. But you're still going to have like some of the the broken trees and the dead trees. They're probably going to still be in there, sort of like kind of like ashy kind of colour, just to sort of give a bit more of a look of death to them. Because they are dead, technically. So it's basically, it is going to be basically like a texture. It is basically a landscape texture overhaul. But obviously, with a lot of the ash gone and the grass coming back, I do need to figure out why this grass texture is not actually producing like the grass that's like this. I do need to figure that out. So I will have to always have a little bit of a mess around with this and mess around with that just to get it to work again, or hopefully get it working. So there will. Now what? There's nobody here. Nobody wants to kill me. Or did you? Screw it. Anyway. But yeah, so obviously it's still a work in progress. So obviously there's still some stuff I need to sort of work out and do with it. Stand there and tra la la la. And obviously I probably will think about trying to like maybe add some plants around the place, just to give it a bit more life as well. But obviously that's something that's going to take a bit of time because it is it's a big-ish island. It's not huge, but it's a relatively quite big space. So it's going to take a little bit of time to get it done. As well as obviously I'm already working on Shadow Kingdom. So, and that's kind of sort of, I want to get Shadow Kingdom done first. But yeah. Now, obviously when this is finally done and finally released, obviously if you have any mods that, make alterations to the landscape of Solstheim, it will more than likely conflict. So you will have to bear that in mind. I know who you are. Apart from you muttering to yourself like an imbecile. Yeah, it can't be done. Go on, try it. I bloody dare you.
Game over.
You twat. Anyway, enough of that idiot. And obviously another thing that you're gonna have to bear in mind with this is obviously I can't alter the LOD or the level of detail for far distant objects or terrain. So, well, at least on PS4 I can't anyway. So obviously on PS4, the mountains, the landscape, the trees in the distance are still going to look like they are covered in ash until you get close up to them. But that, again, is not a thing that can be altered for PS4, because it's all to do with external files, this, that, and the other. But close up, it will be a bit more green, a bit more lively, and this, that, and the other. But that's basically it. It's just like a little sneak peek, and just a little explanation of what the idea is, what the plan is, and just a very sneak peek of a very still kind of early-ish in progress kind of texture overhaul mod, basically. So unfortunately with this one, there will be no link in the description for this one, because it's not even on, it's only on the Bethesda site, only so I can access it. Nobody else can actually access it at the moment, so there will be no link in the description or anything like that. So, and since it's not finished, don't go asking me for it, because you won't be getting it, because it's not done yet. So, ha. But yeah, so that's it for this video. So yeah, it's obviously a little bit different, and a lot of the mods are sort of like very kind of small ones, because at the moment, just watching, there's not a major load out there in the ways of kind of like newer mods. But if you got any mods that you want me to look at, let me know in the comments below. Or you can find me on Twitter or Discord and let me know there. Links to those will be in the channel's banner. So whilst you're going to the channel and going to the channel banner to click on the Discord and the Twitter links, why not hit subscribe whilst you were there? And then whilst you're watching this video, why not hit the like button or the dislike button if you don't like the video, because that's what it's there for. I know, clever thinking. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video. Obviously with the other two mods, there will be links in the description below if you want to check them out for yourself. And obviously I had that question for Oral Khajiit, so hopefully he answers the question. If not, oh well, not the end of the world. So that's it for this video. Time for me to get out of here. So until next time, I'll see you all later.